Hi there, this is Jonathan Ginsberg. I'm an Atlanta area personal bankruptcy attorney, and today I'd like to talk to you about what's involved in converting your Chapter 13 case to Chapter 7. Now, as you may know, Chapter 13 is a repayment plan. In other words, you go into a Chapter 13 because for a variety of reasons you have disposable income, meaning money left over at the end of the month, and you allocate that money, $200 a month, $500 a month, $800 a month, whatever it is, to the Chapter 13 trustee, who then pays back your creditors. It could be your mortgage arrearage, your vehicle lender, furniture company, credit cards, whatever. And part of what we do is in Chapter 13 is we come up with a repayment plan where we figure out who's getting paid what and how much. So Chapter 13, again, assumes that you have some disposable income. Well, what happens, of course, during the middle of Chapter 13 is life. Sometimes people lose their jobs, or they have unexpected expenses, or they have a new job where they make less money. And so what may have been $800 a month disposable income now turns into negative $100 that you're underwater, and you can't afford to stay in the Chapter 13 anymore. So Chapter 13 gives us a number of options to deal with that, and the bankruptcy judges are pretty reasonable as far as letting you restructure what you're doing there. So here are the options you've got. Obviously, number one, if you can't afford your Chapter 13, we can reduce the payment. So sometimes what I have to do is go in, redo the budget, and show instead of $800 a month, now all you can afford is $400 a month. Now to do that, I've got to show that the budget, that's the way the budget works, and secondly, that I can use whatever's left over to pay what I have to pay in the Chapter 13. So for example, if I've got a mortgage arrearage of say $15,000 and $400 a month will not cure that mortgage arrearage within 5 years, that's a problem. If I have a means test issue, meaning that the means test in bankruptcy says you've got to pay $800 a month and all I can afford is $400 a month, that could be a potential problem. So one thing to do is to look at the Chapter 13 and say, can we reduce the monthly payment? Will it still fit within the parameters of Chapter 13? And obviously, if it can, we can reduce the payment. The second option would be to get a temporary stay, as it were, in the obligation to make the payments. You can go to court, we can file a motion and suspend payments for a period of time, usually 2 or 3 months. This is what I do if somebody calls me and says, I got laid off and I'm looking for another job and they need 2 or 3 months. Now, if we do that, all that does is it means that you don't have to pay the trustee. It means your case won't get dismissed by the trustee, but of course you still have to deal with creditors. So if you're making mortgage payments and you fall behind on those, the mortgage lender can file a motion for relief from stay, and the suspension of payments with the trustee is not going to affect other creditors. But that's a way to deal with a problem in a Chapter 13. The third way would be to convert the case from Chapter 13 to Chapter 7. This is what I would do if it looks like the change is permanent, that you're permanently disabled, you are permanently going to have a lower paying job, unemployment seems to be something that's going to be lasting for months or even years. We can convert the case. And again, to do that, I'm going to need to do another budget. We'll have to do a whole nother budget. We'll have to be able to convince the court, the judge, that your new income is going to be at this level and ongoing, and we can convert this case to a Chapter 7, and then basically we go through the whole Chapter 7 process. We have to show the Chapter 7 trustee that you have no disposable income, that you qualify for Chapter 7, and that the creditors, whatever objections I may have, are being satisfied. And again, sometimes this means we have to give up property. So if we convert to a Chapter 7 and you're paying on a mortgage and you can't afford that, we may have to surrender the house, we have to surrender a vehicle. So when we look at Chapter 7, it's almost like we're doing a whole new case, but again, it reflects the reality that Chapter 13 no longer works. But big picture, as you can see, we have a number of different options if your Chapter 13 is no longer feasible. Converting to a Chapter 7 is probably the most drastic of those options, but it's one that can be a very useful tool to keep you in bankruptcy. You can avoid having to pay another filing fee, and you can go ahead and simply convert the bankruptcy into a Chapter 7. So I hope this has been helpful. Again, I'm Jonathan Ginsberg. I handle bankruptcy cases here in the Atlanta area. I've been doing so for 25 plus years. And if you did find this video useful, useful, please give it a thumbs up on YouTube or a like on Facebook, and subscribe to our channels. Any questions about any matter relating to personal bankruptcy, please reach out to me. Happy to try to help you any way I can. Thanks a lot.